So CISCO has recently introduced the new generation on the 2960 and 50X series. So these are the series on the layer 2. If you see early the 2960, 10/100 switches are going to be replaced with the 2960 plus switches, which is like as the same 10/100 with 2 uplink ports. And still the 2960S is available, and they have launched one more model that is 2960SF, that is again cost 10/100 with plus stack support. And the new range of products on the layer 2, one is 2960X and the another one is 2960XR. So we will be covering up the detailed product features and the models in detail. So coming to 2960 plus, it's a new updated series for the 2960 10/100 fast signal switches. So the current switches has doubled up its hardware and software features. It's like the RAM and flash are improved, and it has almost 2 times compared to the early versions or updated on the new series list. And it has variant as like 24 and 48 10/100 fast signal port, and it has both PoE and partial PoE as like the early series which has. And in the software feature level, still they continue to have the same LAN base and the LAN base features. And these switches also have the same uplink features like with SFP and 1000 DSP copper ports for uplink. And the prices it remains with the same cost equivalent to the 2960 fast signal switches, and it's a replacement for the 2960 current model. So this normally position for the branch office and the traditional wire access or infrastructure application. To check on the performance and scalability, so as I said, it has the 2 variants on LAN based and LAN line. The forwarding bandwidth has been improved from compared to the existing switches. It has 16 GB of bandwidth, forwarding bandwidth, and it can support up to maximum of 255 on the LAN base and 64 VLANs on the LAN lite model. So it has a support for jumbo print as well. So these are the listed model. The model number for the new series is WSC 2960 plus. It's a 24 or 48 based on the number of ports. So on the PoE level, if you look at this C2960 plus 48 PSP -L, so L represents LAN base. It has a 48 port 10/100 and 2 uplinks on SFP and 2 uplinks on copper gigabit. So it has a feature of LAN based IOS, and it supports PoE. So PoE it can support up to 370 watts, and these 2960 plus will not support like stacking, which is available on the 2960 as. 24 port PCS, it's again same 24 port 10/100 port, and it has a dual uplink, and it comes with LAN base, and it supports 370 watts power PoE. On the LAN lite, similar models we have 2960 plus 48 PSP -S. So S here represents LAN lite image. So it has a 48 port and 2 SFP and 2 copper ports with LAN lite image. In the new 2960S series, it has improved on the scalability, like the early 2960S has a stacking bandwidth of 40 G. It's doubled up on the 2960X, so which has a stacking bandwidth of 80 G BGS, and it supports 8 stack numbers. Compared to early, the 2960 series has support of only 4 stack numbers, and this X series also has advantage that supports redundant power supply. So in the current product on 2960 family, that doesn't support any redundant power supply. So we have to opt for a external power supply, that is RPS 2300. So with the new series 2960X, or it will support redundant power supply. Also, they have introduced a net flow light on the new series, and it supports energy efficient Ethernet feature set. And other management functionality, like it supports smart off and auto smart support and smart call home, as it is in the 2960X. And again, it's designed for the CISCO one network, one policy with ISC, and it has support for IPv6, and also it supports 802.1x. .2960X hardware. So if you check from the right side, it has option for 2 gigabit, 10 gigabit uplink or 4 1G uplinks, and it supports a flex stack bandwidth of 80G, and it supports the power supplies with different watts. Like I can explain you on the power supply variants, and it has the dual core CPU. And again, the another advantage on this 2960X family, it's backward compatible with 2960S for the stacking. But one thing to remember, it will not support the 8-member stacking, but it will still continue to support only 4-member stacking. 2960S XR, it supports redundant power supply option, and it supports 8 queues per port. And as I earlier mentioned, it has a new net flow light on all port support. It's ready, MACsec ready again. The new 2960X is a 2 times stacking bandwidth, so that is 80G compared to the early 2960 current 2960S series, which supports up to 40 gigabit. And stacking members, it supports up to 8 members for stacking, and it has a buffer limit of 4 MB, and it can support up to 8 queues. So it has a variance of 24 and 48 with the gigabit ports, and option on the uplinks, either 4 1 gigabit uplinks or 2 10G uplinks. So again, it supports PoE and PoE plus. So it has a dual core CPU. It's scalable for future proof, and it's smart, intelligent, and green, and it's reduce your TCO. Again, for the security front, we have one policy support on this new series. Still, who are having the existing 2960X series, still they can go with the 2960X, and it gives an investment to a protection for the on the stacking front. To check on the hardware performance, we have 3 different variants. One is like 2960X LAN light and LAN based, then 2960XR. So the new series XR, which supports IP LAN light. So I can we will discuss on this IP LAN light feature. So what is that IP light will support on? So on the forwarding bandwidth, the LAN light image supports up to 50 gigabits, and LAN based has support of 108 Gbps, and the XR series also supports 108 Gbps. And overall switching bandwidth, it can support up to 100 Gbps, and the 2960X LAN based and XR can support 216 Gbps. On the VLAN support, the 2960X LAN light will support up to 64 VLAN, and 2960X LAN based and IP light will support up to 1023 VLAN. Again, it supports jumbo prints. On the scalability, the stacking, the early 2960 which supports flex stack, that is up to 40 Gbps. Whereas the new variants of 2960X and XR, which will support up to 80 Gbps on the flex stacks. And MAC address, it supports of the 2960 current series supports up to 8K, and the new series 2960X supports 16K MAC address table, and the 2960XR supports up to 32K. On the Unicode routes, it remains same on the 2960X and S, and the 2960XR IP Lite, which will support up to 24K routes. And the active VLANs, so the 2960S can support up to 255 VLANs, and the X and the XR series supports up to 1K VLAN. Ether channel groups, the current 2960S model can support only up to 6 groups, but the new X series can support up to 24, and the XR can support up to 48 Ether channel groups. As earlier mentioned, that the queues per port, the current series can support up to 4 queues, but 2960X can support up to 8 queues. On the plug stack, so the current switches will the recent release switches can support up to 8 members for the plug stacking, and by that we can avail up to 384 ports. Still, it supports a mix of 2960S, the current series, and the 2960X and XR stacks. But again, the limitation on the mix stacking, it can support only up to 4 members. So with the overall 8 stacking, we can get up to 80 GBs of stacking bandwidth, and it almost double the throughput of the current 2960S offers. And share uplinks for redundant if one switch fails. So by stacking, we will be achieving the redundancy. It applies the features across the stacking number, including the QoS and Ether channels. On the competition and the CISCO, if you look at on the plug stack and others competition clustering, it gives a unified manager. Like we can manage the whole stack with as a single switch. And on the unified data plane, it achieves up to 80 GBs for the stack backplane. In the redundancy, the failover and the reconvergence in seconds, it happens in case of one uplink fail. Also with self-healing uplink Ether channel support, which is not available with the competition clustering. So this is a sample how we can use a mix of the current 2960S or SF series with the latest release 2960X. So by this picture, it can support, as I mentioned, it can support up to only 4 members on the stacking. For the new series 2960X, we have 3 different power supply options. Can be only a pure PoE and PoE and PoE plus support. If you look at the 250 watts AC power supply that comes by default on the non-PoE switches, which can offer up to 250 watts. And the other option for the 24 and 48 volt PoE switches, we have 640 watts AC and 1024 watts AC. So to achieve the PoE plus on the 48 port, it's always recommended to go with the 1025 watts AC. The 2960XR again supports the redundant power supply. So this is the data where like how we can achieve with the through latest 2960X and XR series switches. It supports EEE, that is Ethernet energy efficient Ethernet technology, by which we can save the power. In the sample, if you look at 2960X 48FP, if it is 100% traffic, it consumes almost 66.7 volts of power supply. But in a hardware sleep, with the EEE technology, when there is no traffic, it will only consume up to 26 watts. So by that, we will be saving around 61% on the power. So this is one of the battle code when we go to market and we see the competition. We can just highlight on the features of our 2960X and XR series on the energy efficient. So the current series, the new series 2960X and XR supports a new net flow light. So the net flow light will capture the traffic on the switch, and it gives you the graphical view of the network and an application in a graphical view. On the platform, so as I already indicated that we have three different flavors. One is like the LAN based, and the new IP light. So the IP light is the latest the release on the 2960, which supports the basic layer 3 functionality on the 2960 itself. So the IP light is available only with 2960 XR. So the 2960X can support only LAN light and LAN based, and the XR has the two variants of LAN based and IP light, which supports the basic layer 3 and dynamic route. So this IP light again cannot be upgraded to a IP base. So it's fixed, and it can only run with IP light. The 2960 and XR are fully integrated into EnergyWise, and it supports the energy efficient Ethernet technology, and with the sleep modes for up to 95% of power savings. On the security front, we have Netco Knife for application visibility, and it supports IAC integration, and also it supports the truck anchor technology on the new series. And for the MACsec, currently the hardware is ready for support. So in the future release, software release, it will the MACsec feature also will be supported on the 2960X and XR series, and it's IPv6 ready. Again, we have the lifetime warranty on the 2960X and XR series, and it supports power supplies on redundant as well on the 2960XR, and it supports smart install and auto smart support. So here are the different SKUs on the 2960X switches. We have 2960X 24CS-L, that's the LAN line LL, and for the 24 port you have it with a 2 SFP, and WSC 2960X-48TS-LL, that is 48 gigabit with the 2 SFP and with LAN image. WSC 2960X 24TS-L, it's a 24 port gigabit and with the 4 SFP uplinks. It can be a combination of copper, single mode and multi mode with a LAN based image. And 2960X-48TS-L, it's a 48 port gigabit non-PoE with 4 SFP uplinks and a LAN based image. The 2960X-24TS-L, it's a 24 port gigabit with PoE plus support with 4 SFP uplinks and the LAN based image support. So the PoE plus will support up to 30 watts. And 2960X-24TCQ-L, it's a 24 port gigabit. It has a 8 port PoE support. It's a partial PoE and with the 2 combo ports and with LAN image. 2960X-48LPS-L, it's a 48 gigabit port with the PoE plus support, and it has a 4 port uplink, 1 gig uplink, and a LAN based image. It's a 2960X-48 full FPS-L. It's a 48 gigabit port and with PoE plus support and 4 SFP with LAN based image. And the 48 LPS and FPS LPS is a normal PoE support, but FPS will support all full PoE. That means all the 48 port are supported with full PoE plus support. The 2960X-24TD-L, that's a 24 gigabit port with 2 SFP plus, that is 10G uplink support with the LAN based image. The 296.48C-D-L is a 48 port gigabit and two 10G SAP plus uplink and with a LAN based image. The 2960X24PD-L is a 24 port gigabit plus PoE plus support with a two SAP plus 10G support and a LAN based image. The 2960X-48LPDL is a 48 port gigabit Ethernet and PoE plus supported with two SAP plus 10G uplink and LAN based image. The 2960X-48 FPDL is a 48 port gigabit with PoE plus and two 10G uplinks with a LAN based image. The FPD is a full PoE supported on all ports. The stacking module 2960X-stack is a flex stack module for the 2960X series. On the XR series, the 2960 is a part number SKU like starts with WS-C 2960XR-24TS-I. That is IP LAN light. That's the 24 port gigabit supported with 4 uplinks and IP light image. As like the same 2960X, we have the similar combination of SKUs available with the 2960X features as well. The new 2960X series, which has a doubled support on stacking and bandwidth and other software features, and it has the application visibility control which is supported with the NetFlow Lite, and the new XR series will support layer 3 routing as well. And again, it provides you the investment protection by supporting the stacking with the existing 2960X and the SF series. This is the first switch that comes with the greenest switch ever, like with EE support, that is energy efficient Ethernet support, which saves your power. So next to that, we are going to cover up on the 3850 new release on the layer 3. If you look at the 3850, it's called a converged access switch or a unified switch on the 3560 or 3850 model, which support it makes your wired and wireless as a single platform. So this is this particular 3850 supports the controller, wireless controller on the hardware built in. Again, it supports the distributed intelligence services like the trusted and application visibility control and the resiliency with the smart off support. The new 3850 comes with UADP ASIC, which is a unified access data plane. That's how it works with wired and wireless works as a single platform. So people might have heard about unified access. So the unified access comprised of three different technologies. One is the one policy and one management and one network. So on the one policy, we are covering with ICE, Identity Service Engine, and the one management which represents the prime solution on CISCO, and the one network which is our 3850 switches. So we can go into, we will be on this slide, we will be covering up how that we are achieving that one network, one policy and one management. In the current normal scenario, for connecting the PCs, we will be having an access point, and the access points will be the access point backbones will be connected to a switch, and for managing the access point, we will be having a wireless LAN controllers, and we will be having a separate LAN management solution to manage the network devices, and separate WCS system for managing the wireless controllers, and we have a identity management server and a NAS profiler, and for the guest access we have a different guest server, For the network access control, we have different ATS products, but with the unified access simplifies all these network components with one policy with ICE, which covers the policy management, and the prime, which covers all the device management. And here the wireless controller and the catalyst switch are replaced with the new series of 3850, which has an integrated wireless controller, and distributes the wired and wireless data frame with the UAVP ASICs. So just to understand on the current defined model on a day-to-day wireless and wired network, in a normal wireless, we will be having two different agents. One is like mobility agent and mobility controller. Normally, the mobility agent is responsible for AP's CAPWAP termination, that is the protocol which is running on the CISCO products for the controller based access, and this mobility agent is responsible for maintaining the client databases and the policy enforcement. The mobility controller, which is a controller which is responsible for the client mobility and for the radio resource management, for the dual radio and auto radio and auto power features are controlled by this mobility controller, and it responsible for the WIPS and spectrum management in the controller. But with the new 3850, what the traditional controller continues to play as a normal mobility agent as well as a mobility controller, but the 3850 it takes care of the role of mobility agent on it for a large deployments, and it will be responsible for the mobility agent features of like the AP termination and maintaining the client database and policy enforcement. This is a sample scenario wherein we have a canvas users around 3000 plus users. When we have a 80 3850 switches, the overall throughput on a wireless would be around 3.2 TBS. That is 40 GB of backend is provided for every switch. Another scenario wherein 192 users, which will be having around 4 switches, it accumulates the bandwidth of backend bandwidth of around 160 Gbps. So imagine in the new 3850, which gives you the more throughput on the wireless network as well. Again, this 3850 has a future-proof support for the 802.11 AC, which is beyond 450 Mbps support on the wireless throughput. So by this converged wired and wireless access support on a 3850, it gives you a single platform for wired and wireless. So the single switch, that is 3850, will be a single platform for your wired users and as well as for the wireless users. It has a common iOS and has the same administration point, and for even the software releases will have a same single release. It gives you network wide visibility for faster troubleshooting on the wired and wireless traffic. Again, on the hierarchical bandwidth management and distributed policy enforcement, it provides you consistent security and quality of service control. It gives you the maximum resiliency with fast stateful recovery, and again it's scalable with distributed wired and wireless data plane. That is, on a stacking, it can support up to 480G stacking bandwidth and 40G for the individual switch. The unified access is a one policy, one management, and one network. The single platform for wired and wireless. The features on the wireless, it provides you the same feature sets available on the wireless controller. It supports 802.11n and it again supports the clean technology and video stream, then radio resource management features and the WIPS, and it's ready for 802.11 AC. On the wired front, it still continues with the stacking and stack power support, flexible net flow and granular IQS, trusted identity and AVC, that is application visibility control, and MediaNet for the video. Again, it supports smartness operation and energy wise through the EE technologies. The additional benefits on this 3850, which has a built-in UADP ASIC. It's the innovation on CISCO on the ASIC technology. It eliminates the operational complexity, providing with a single window for your wired and wireless users. It's a single operating system for your wired and wireless operations. On the hardware feature side, the new 3850 supports 480 Gbps stacking bandwidth, and it still supports the stack power, which is available on the current 3750X and 3750X series. This 3850 can support up to 50 APs and 2000 times per stack, and it provides 40 Gbps backplane per switch. It has the mobility agent feature support on the hardware. This 3850 supports 40 GB uplink bandwidth and it supports full PoE plus. It supports the redundant power supply and it has the QoS and flexible net flow support as well. So these are the different uplink modules and power supplies supported on the 3850. The 3850 NM-4X 10G, which is supported only on the 48 port model, which has a 410G uplink open slot SFP plus support, and the C3850-NM-421G, which has 4 1G uplinks, and the C3850-NM-2 × 10G, which supports 2 SFP plus ports. On the power supply, it has 4 different variants. One is 350 watts AC and 715 watts AC and 1100 watts AC. On the DC, we have 440 watts DC. It supports redundant power supply on all the SKUs. So the 3850 bundles and models, which has 3 different license levels. One is LAN based and IP based and IP services. The 3850-T-L, L here indicates the LAN based image. It's a 24 port with 350 watts AC power supply. It's a 1 rack unit size. And the 3850-24T-L, the 24 port PoE plus support with 715 watts AC power supply. And the C3850-48T-L is a 48 port gigabit Ethernet with 350 watts AC power supply. And the 3850-48T-L is a 48 port gigabit PoE plus with 750 watts AC power supply. And the C3850-48F-L is a 48 port full PoE plus support with 1100 watts AC power supply. On the IP base, we have 3850-24T-S. S here indicates the IP base image. It's a 24 port gigabit Ethernet with 350 watts AC power supply. And the 3850-24T-S is the PoE 24 port gigabit with the 750 watts AC power supply. And the C3850-48T-S is a 48 port gigabit with 350 watts non-PoE AC power supply. And the 3850-48T-S is a 48 port PoE plus switch, but it comes with only 750 AC watts AC power supply. The 3850-48F-S is a full PoE 48 port gigabit with 1100 watts AC power supply. Again, on the IP services, we have 3850-24T-E. E here indicates that IP services means which is a 24 port gigabit Ethernet with 350 watts AC power supply. Again, the 3850-24T-E is a PoE 24 port PoE plus 24 port gigabit with 750 watts AC. And the 3850-48-E is a 48 port gigabit with 350 watts AC power is a non-PoE switch. The 3850-48T-E is a 48 port PoE plus with a 750 watts AC power supply. The 3850-48F-E is a full PoE supported on all 48 ports gigabit with 1100 watts AC power supply. And on our part, we have a bundle that is a 24 port PoE IP base with 5 access point license, and same as on the 48 ports available. The stacked power cables are sold separately on the LAN-based models. So positioning the Catalyst fixed access switches. So in a normal, the current deployment wherein we position the three Catalyst 3K and 2K, we can give a pushing the new 3850, wherein the user has a wireless requirements. We can position the 3850 single top-pump switches, and wherein the other cases wherein even there is no wireless requirement, still if they look looking for intelligent access services, this 3850 or 3K X series will still play on these conditions. On the L3 lowest cost technical acceptable, we can push for the latest 2960 XR switches, which comes with IP light, that is the basic static routing and the dynamic routing support from the new 2960 XR switches. Any L2 on the low cost technical acceptable, we can position that new T2960X series. The consideration on the 3850 and 3750, if there is an opportunity to refresh the fixed access layer switches, we can position for the 3850, and if there is an opportunity to refresh the fixed access layer switching and wireless infrastructure, and for the opportunities where to sell access layer switching with centralized wireless and turn on converged access mode at the later time, we can still position for this 3850. And where an opportunity for the greenfield switching opportunity, we can position the current latest series of 3850. And for the customer who is care about the future proofing network technologies like 802.11ac or 1 packet or SDN, we can position the 3850. In the areas where we have to position 3750X, only when the customer is want to stack more than 4 switches at the access layer, and where the customer wants to enable all the secure access trusted or VNet before 2013 H2, and the customer who wants the backward compatibility with the stacking with the existing 3750 series switches, and in the cases where the customer rotates the fixed access layer switches to have mandatory FAP or JTS compliance certificate. This is another comparison on the product of a new 2960X and the 3850. If you look at the stacking bandwidth, the 2960X supports 80 Gbps and the current 3750X supports 64 Gbps, wherein the new 3850 supports up to 480 Gbps of stacking bandwidth. And the maximum numbers in the stacking, the 2960X supports up to 80 numbers and the 3750X supports 8 members. The new 3850 supports up to 9 members on the stacking. The hard swappable and the dual power supply features, the 2960X has no support for the dual power supply, but the 2960X supports the dual power supply, and the current 3750 has a support for it, and the new series of 3850 also support for the dual power supply and fan modules. For the stacking power, 2960X series doesn't support the stack power. Only the 3750 and 3850 support the stack power. And stateful switchover, again it's only supported on the 3850. For the memory and flash, the 2960X has a memory of around 512 MB and it has a flash of 120 MB, wherein 3750X has a 256 MB of memory and 64 MB of flash. But the new 3850 has a memory of built-in memory of around 4 GB of memory and 2 GB of flash. PoE plus support, the 2960X supports a partial PoE plus, but the 3750X and the 3850X supports the full PoE support plus support. And the universal PoE, which is only supported on the 3750X and 3850 new series. On the layer 3, the 2960X supports the IP supports the layer 3 support, that is the basic dynamic routing support from the static out, and the 3750X and 3850 supports the full L3 layer 3 routing support. And other points to highlight, on the flexible net flow, it supported only on the 2960X. That is with that also will support only net flow light. For the 3750, we have net flow support with the SM cards. We have the uplink cards for separate uplink cards on the 3750X series to support for the net flow, but 3850 will support the software net flow as well. Points to be highlighted: for the converged access, is only supported on the 3850. So this is about the 3850 series. So I think we have some more time. So I just want to touch upon the small business switches as well. That SMB switches like SG 100 series and 200 series and 300 series of small business.